Is that even recording? What is good, people? So this should be YouTube video number 1, which is a very weird thing to say. But we're going to walk you through a density day, so a posterior day, which is back and hamstrings. We are finishing off the pre here. That was fucking great. Well, great start to this video. Finishing off the pre here, we're about to jump in. It is early morning session for me. It's about 7:30, if you can even tell from seeing that, if that's even going to be on. Busy day today, which is something that I speak a lot about with clients as well. So when you've got a busier day, when you've got a lot of stuff to get done, get up a bit earlier, get your session ticked off. It means you don't need to think about it. It means you've got the rest of the day to just do what you need to get done. You don't need to constantly be worrying about when you're going to fit your session in, etc. So we're going to be going through a walkthrough video. I'll do a wee voiceover. We'll put a wee couple of tips in there and stuff, and hopefully you can take something from that video and understand why I program my back and hamstring day the way I program it. So let's jump into the session. We'll finish off the pre and get stuck into it. Yes, people, let's just get stuck straight into this. So lying hamstring curls to begin. A few things you want to consider here. You want your knees to be in line with that wee axis rotation, which is the wee yellow thing I'll highlight on the screen. Then you want to make sure that your glutes aren't lifting off. So as you can see here, my glutes are staying pretty stable. I'm driving them into the pad. They're not right up in the air. You see loads of people doing this and their glutes will shoot right up in the air. We want to make sure that all the tension is kept on the hammies. Nice stable movement to start off here, and also tax the hamstrings a little bit more in their shortened range. This is because I'm nice and fresh. So as I go through this workout, I'm going to accumulate more and more fatigue. So my ability to actually get my hamstrings contracted is going to suffer from that. So this just allows us to warm up nice and stable and get those hamstrings short. Then we've got a little bit more of like an upper lat bias row here. This is before we move into the sort of big meat and potatoes lift of the session, which is going to be an RDL. This is an area that I'm trying to work on, so if I can put this earlier on in the session and not let it impact a bigger lift like an RDL, then I'll do so. Then we've got the main lift, which is the RDL. So we should be feeling pretty good going into this, pretty warm, but not too fatigued. Obviously this is a movement where we can move a lot of load, so we want to take advantage of that. So I get a lot of people asking me about warm-ups, especially around big movements like this. Now it's going to be a little different for everyone, and it's even going to be different from session to session. Some sessions you might feel like you need to warm up more, some sessions you might feel like you need to warm up less. But if you're looking for an approach, I'd maybe recommend something like a 6-4-1, so 6 reps, 4 reps, then 1 rep, that last rep being something not too far off your working weight, just to really sort of prime your CNS. And that's pretty much exactly what I followed during this session. This was right after my holiday, so I was sort of re-establishing baseline numbers again, wasn't wanting to push things too crazy, so a nice warm up for me here. Now this movement is a hip hinge, so we really should only be moving here through the hips. We shouldn't be getting excessive knee bend or excessive back rounding. Our hips should be allowing us to sink, and then we should be driving those hips back through in order to contract. Bit of an easy one to butcher, but if you can get really good at these and get really strong on them, it will reflect massively in your physique. Then we're moving on to something like a seated machine row, where we can create a little bit more stability, as we're going to be pretty taxed from that RDL. So this is obviously my density day, so I'm trying to bias that mid and upper back musculature a little bit more. So trying to opt for a row where we can actually go through scapular protraction and scapular retraction in a safe manner is always going to be a good option here for us. And this machine allows me to do exactly that. Right, now I know what you're thinking here. A standard lat pull down, what on earth am I doing? Have I literally seen any TikTok video ever? Don't worry, I'm not trying to target my lats here. Again, trying to target a little bit more mid, upper and actually rear delts as well by doing this exercise. Going through scapular protraction, retraction, but also elevation and depression as well. Next up, we've got a seated hamstring curl. Now, again, you might be thinking you've already done a lying hamstring curl. Why doing a seated hamstring curl next? This is going to challenge the hamstrings a little bit differently. It's going to challenge them more so in their length and range. So at the start, we tax them in their shortened range, and now at the end, we're taxing them in their length and range. Again, this is right at the very end of the session, well, towards the very end of the session. So this allows us to create a lot of stability on this machine, which just makes it a little bit safer for us as well. This is going to finish off the hammies very nicely, and you should be pretty fried after that. As you can see, moving on to biceps, so starting off with a dumbbell preacher curl. Now I'm training arms pretty frequently across my week right now, because it's an area I'm trying to bring up, but at least across one of those sessions I like to start off with this. It just allows me to get a really good contraction on the biceps at the start of my bicep training. Very last exercise of the session now is going to be an incline cable curl.
Now you could just stand and do this, but then it'd be a little bit harder to maintain stability around your shoulder and elbow. So I like to opt for using a bench here. The more stable we can be, the more force we can produce, which is never really a bad thing.
So, successful posterior session in the books. Hopefully you can take something from that sort of walkthrough, how I program it. At least something you can take from that video. We're going to head home now, get some post-workout food. What I'd recommend is trying to let your heart rate come down at close to resting heart rate. So a lot of people will quickly rush for a protein shake after their session when they're still in that sort of heightened sympathetic state. We want to try and get in something called the parasympathetic state, which is basically just being super relaxed so that we can actually go home and digest the food that we're having, and we're not just slamming that down straight away. So wee tip for if you're driving home, that is, don't listen to the same tunes you were listening to 2 seconds ago. Try to hit PBs. Try and put something a little bit more relaxing on. Try and stick a podcast on to try and really aid with getting your heart rate down, so that when you are back at the gaff, back at the house, you can be in a much more responsive state, or a much more effective state to actually go and digest your post-workout meal properly. I'll show you what we whip up in the gaff, and yeah, we can take it from there. So, post-workout meal, a lot of people will finish the gym and just run for a protein shake and just think protein, protein, protein. You want this meal to be pretty carb heavy. Your ability to actually utilise carbs is heightened, it's increased. So you want to make this quite a carb heavy meal with obviously a bit of protein as well. We don't want it to just be carbs, we don't want it to just be protein. So I will show you what I'm having. I'll stick the calories on the screen, and then you can have a rough idea of what I would have post-workout. What's happened since we finished the session? We've came home, we've had the post-workout meal. It's actually been close to about an hour now, so I've let my heart rate come down, I went for a shower, I've relaxed, and then I was ready to eat my meal. It's very, very important, just to highlight again, actually relaxing before you come back and start scranning your post-workout meal. So that's pretty much going to be the first YouTube video. Well, hopefully I will stick also the macros, well not the macros, I'll stick the calories for the meal somewhere about that wee sequence, and then I will hopefully catch you in the next one. So if you found this useful, if you've found it helpful, learned anything, give it a like, give me a subscribe, appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.